What are some of the old templates that you went through that we're sort of moving beyond as a collective, and what are the new ones that we're moving into?
Yeah, that's an exciting question. It's interesting because there were things that I tried on in relationships that never really fit, but I was like going along with, the status quo or whatever, or I was really in a way like I was never boy crazy. I remember having like being young and having friends that were like, boys are boys are boys. And I was just like, yeah, whatever. And I was never like, I can't wait to have a boyfriend. And I did it.
Mm.
I was always reluctant, and I was always that way. Even whenever I meet someone, I'm always reluctant. I'm like, I don't know. I'm busy.
Mhm.
Blah, 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 blah. Even like the younger version of me, before I was like mission oriented, I was still mission oriented. I was just like, I have other things to do. I'm busy. So I wasn't playing hard to get, but I was really hard to get. And because of that, I didn't have a lot of experiences with guys. So I was really naive. So when I would meet someone and I would eventually like open up and be open to like intimacy, 'cause I love
Mm.
intimacy, but to me, intimacy could be like holding hands, like,
Mhm.
staring each other's eyes, like
Mhm.
what other people, because of, I guess, my high sensitivity and how sensitive I was to energy, I could get so much from just being with someone, being in their presence. So the need for so much physical intimacy and like you belong to me and your mind and possessiveness, I really did not understand those things. Right. And I always was in a way made to feel like there was something wrong with me because I wasn't chasing a guy or because I wasn't, or if a really like attractive great guy was into me, I'd be like, ah, whatever. So I found myself giving relationships opportunities that I wasn't necessarily aligned with. I wasn't necessarily excited about. I didn't necessarily feel as strongly about them as they felt about me. But as you said, I would sometimes get caught up in how strong their feelings were for me and feel as if that meant that's what it was supposed to feel like. So that's for sure one of the old templates, right? Of like one person is certain and the other person just kinda goes along,
Like the
right?
waiting to be chosen one that I
100%.
think women do a
Mhm.
lot, where they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"He said this about me. He said he wants to." It's like, "What do you want?"
Right, what do
Yes.
you want,
Hello.
right?
Yes.
Like, where are you at in this?
Mhm.
So that's a big one. Another big one is the probably one of the biggest ones that I'm like, "Please, let's get this out of here." This idea that the woman is supposed to be submissive to the man.
Mhm.
Right? That the man is supposed to lead and the woman is supposed to submit, and that's the highest form of the relationship. Da, 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 da. Right? The new template is that we both have a relationship with spirit. We're
Yes.
both led by spirit. We're both
Yes.
led by God. And in that way, we both bring things to the relationship where we are a natural leader in that capacity,
Mhm.
right? So this idea of one leading the other, right? That it's not that, it's collaboration, right? The other thing is this idea that we only have one, right? We only have one true love that's going out, right? And again, if people want to operate in that frequency bandwidth, they will create that reality where they only have one. So please know that you can do that. The you complete me, right? So like that I'm a half and you're a half. I know it's so funny.
My
but
friend said, "I
we
can't wait
have
to find the other half of my soul." I was
we
like, "That's not how this
not a
works."
thing. That's not a
how this
thing.
works. Can you imagine your
Right.
soul all life is like, "I
Right.
have."
So I always say 1 plus 1 equals 3,
Mhm.
right? The only time 1 plus 1
Yes.
equals 2 is when you're a half. So when
Mhm.
it's a whole and a whole, you create a third energy, right? That's the relationship where the relationship collaborates,
Mhm.
right? And you can create a baby in that space. You can create a mission in that space, right? But you both nurture that space.
It's the first time I'm understanding that.
Yeah.
That
So
1
1
plus
plus 1
1
equals
equals
3.
3. Yeah, that's
Damn.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always
Got
just
you.
nodded.
Yeah.
I've always been like one. I was like, "You, them," and I was like, "God."
Yeah, that's kind of what I
That's what I
thought,
was like,
but
"God."
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So no, you
You,
create
them, and your Instagram couples page.
right. Your couple's goals
Yeah, your
page,
couples
right.
goals.
Yeah, there's this it's almost like a third entity kind of gets
Mhm.
created. That's like the collaboration of like,
Your
the
union.
the mother, the father, and yeah, the union. And to that end, what's transforming is what it actually means to be in union, right? And this will take 200, 300 years before we change even like the nature of like marriage and da da da. And a lot of times when I talk about how like really the goal is divine union, a lot of people think that means, oh, you must be poly or oh,
Mhm.
you must da da da. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that as we encounter other people, right? We recognize that there's an aspect of God, right? That they embody. There's an aspect of God that we embody, and that being in union with another is really seeing God in the other and having that reflected back to you. So it's always about deepening in your relationship with God. It's about being in union with God. And this is a lot of the tantric traditions talk about this a lot, right? Also, I'll say that even how we understand a lot of the tantric traditions in a very like Western context is very distorted. I never
Mm.
understood this concept that tantra is about sex,
Mhm.
you
I
know?
think that's what we only understand it
That's the
as
only part
in the
we
Yes,
West, yeah.
understand,
Yeah,
exactly.
right?
you're like, sex poses.
Right,
And then when
right.
you really learn about it, you're like, "Damn, this is the most
The way of
beautiful thing
life.
Yeah,
ever."
it's
Yeah.
so deep. It's again, it's about union. And the other thing is that we're starting, and this conversation is starting to happen more and more, is people are starting to realize. So what a lot of people go through is they say, well, we all have masculine and feminine within us,
Mhm.
which is true. But we also have non-gendered energies. We have energies that are gendered, and we also have non-gendered energies. And the more that we allow ourselves to come into wholeness, right? It's not just everyone is part masculine, part feminine. There are so many frequencies on the planet. There are so many different types of like etheric energies on the planet. And the more that we allow ourselves to bring, if we, let's say we experience them as colors, the more we allow ourselves to run our own colors, right? And we become this like dynamic, radiant, vital, like version of who we are. And then we connect with someone else that is running their own authentic colors, their own energy. And then we come together and we have a shared like mission, right? So the the relationship the relationships that are coming online are more about like the mystical marriage. It's it's me, you, and God in this relationship, and we're led by the divine, and we're here to contribute something, and the two coming together are greater than its parts,
Mhm.
but you're still whole within that. And one of the concepts that my teacher always talks about is that when you're truly in collaboration, when you're truly in union, and you're being your full authentic self, and someone else is being their full authentic self, there's always tensions and contradictions. So that tension is what gives birth to new creation.
Mm.
So that's something that's a really like subtle but kind of advanced concept for the Aquarian age, to understand that like truly being in union, that there's going to be this, and how do we be with that tension? How do we be with that place of like, this is how I see it, this is how I see it. And from those coming together, you don't become the leader. Your way doesn't cancel out my way. We're not competing. It's within that tension that something new is able to be born. So to me, again, that there's just so much beauty that's available in that. And when you feel that, like when you're in a relationship with someone and when you're in union and you feel that and you get to see, it's not about me merging with you. It's like another way to look at it is the drop in the ocean, right? All the mystical traditions talk about like we're just a drop in the ocean. But the fear I think of a lot of us as an identity, as a being, as a singular focus of consciousness is that when we get back absorbed back into the greater consciousness, we lose who we are. And in the new age, the who we are is maintained throughout all of eternity. It goes through a purification, right? We lose like the ego aspect of, but that drop is in the ocean, but it's still there. It's still that drop. That wave still has its own expression. And that expression is what informs all that is. So a lot of the old spiritual traditions are a very transcendent type of spiritual tradition, right? Where when we are moving into sort of a higher consciousness, we lose our identity. What's coming into the age of Aquarius is that we maintain our identity while we move into oneness. So if you can see that as like one of the fundamental shifts of this time, and then take that into relationship, it's just so dynamic of what's possible.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Morning Microdose by Almost 30.
We hope you enjoyed waking up.
As always, we encourage you to take what resonates and leave the rest. If you enjoyed this trip, tune into the full episode on the Almost 30 podcast. All episode information can be found in the show notes.
Make sure to subscribe, and if this becomes a part of your morning routine, be sure to share it with a friend. We have new inspiring doses Monday through Friday. Follow us on Instagram at Morning Microdose, and follow Almost 30 at Almost 30 Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the vortex.